All right, guys, I want to talk a little bit about this one thing that I've noticed getting a lot of haters at the moment, which is fair enough. You get that on the big jobs. But I want to talk a little bit about what defines success in your eyes. Because I've noticed that a lot of people have said, oh, these people aren't successful, those people aren't successful because of blah, blah, blah. They don't have a fleet of this, they don't have a fleet of machines. But I want you, especially if you're young in the game and you're looking at yourself and you're thinking, I am not successful because I don't have all these pieces of plan. I don't, I'm running old gear or whatever. I want you to know that that's not true. Compared to most people never ever chase their dreams. They put their business, their goals, their ambitions. They're all out in this fairy pixie land of things that they once upon a time should have done. And most people don't even take the first steps in action, like first steps to actually achieve these goals. So, what I find a lot of the time is people quite literally will judge the hell out of you and they will put you down. They will tell you, they'll send you private messages saying you're a loser and stuff like that. And you've got to then look at their Facebook page or the Instagram page, and they've got maybe like 3 friends, no profile picture, or maybe a couple of hundred friends, but realistically, they're lonely. And the only reason why they're lashing out to talk to you is because they're scared of the fact that you're doing better than them. So there's a bit of a saying I got told earlier on that people want you to do well, but they don't want you to do better than them. And I think that's a very relevant point. I think it's something that a lot of people like. I remember when I was really, really doing shit in business. I was living in a swag. In fact, I think I went from a swag to $1,000 caravan, borderline homeless. And in that moment, I had so many people cheering for me back then, saying how good I was doing and how great it was to see I was following my dreams. Because I truly believe it was this is that they could see that I was doing okay, but I was not doing better than them. And it took until all right now all of a sudden Chase is doing a little bit better. He's getting newer machines. He's getting bigger jobs. We can see what's going on and stuff like that. And people start to get jealous of what you do. So I want if you're a young fella, and this one is 100%. This podcast is all for a young fella in this field. If you're the young fella in the field and you're looking at okay, I'm sort of a bit of a loser at the moment. I've got no gear reel going on. I've got no good jobs going on, but I'm going to keep trying. I really want this to be to you, and I hope that speaks to a lot of young fellas here that you got to keep going, guys. Like it's business is hard, yes. I know that for a fact. It is really hard. It's probably one of the hardest things that you'll ever do. But I just need everyone to really see that if you are in that hard stage, that's good. People will sort of help you out a little bit there, but don't be surprised if people don't. Um, I know that during my whole career in earth moving, there was many times when I got told I should give up, that I'm just not good enough, I should quit. But if I had have done that looking back now, I would have realized that would have been a really fatal mistake. It was staying in the game as long as you can is actually the game of business, in my opinion. So many people come into business, they don't make $1 million, and in 12 months later, they're back working for their old boss. And that's something that we see so very often. In fact, I actually had a phone call from a fella in the Task Elites community, and he was having a bit of a tough time there yesterday and stuff like that. But we worked through it, and the first thing he says to me is like, "Oh, it makes me wonder if it's even worth it." I said, "Mate, come on, we'll be right. We'll get through this." Um, and that doubt never goes away. Like you never ever lose that doubt of being like, "Am I good enough? Can I do this? Is this the right path? Am I just a loser?" Like a lot of people are saying. And I want you to know that some days you're going to wake up and you're going to feel that, and you need to ignore it because it's not true. That's just the little voice inside you saying that, and it doesn't mean shit. It doesn't mean you're worth. It doesn't mean nothing like that. So I hope that this helps out some young fella who's really looking, like he's looking to grow, he's looking to get into business, and this is what this channel is really all about. You're the sort of people that I admire because I've been where you are. I've been down the absolute bottom where if I'll have to show you guys one day where I actually started. A lot of people don't actually know. My first machine was a PC40-6. So if anyone doesn't know, a PC40-6 was made in 1987. It was an old farm machine, and I got the bright wave idea of repairing this machine and sending it to work. Now, for every 10 minutes of work I would do with this thing, I would have an hour of maintenance. It was the most biggest hunk of junk in the world, but it was my first thing to give me a crack. Then I was definitely lucky enough to get into the mines, and you guys might not be that lucky. You guys might have that transition period, mightn't have that opportunity that I had, and that's fair enough. But what I want you to see is that the opportunities are there. You just got to grab them. I was very lucky. I had family in the mines, so for me to get on, it was very, very easy. However, I did have to work my ass off. I made sure that I turned up early. I done more than I was asked for, and yeah, we really work towards. You've got to work towards your dreams one chunk at a time. And the problem is you got to. It's actually that's funny. I was talking to someone yesterday, and they were talking about how in business you got to eat enough shit sandwiches to get good. I've eaten my fair share of shit sandwiches. In fact, I've eaten a lot of shit sandwiches, but you've actually got to sit there and be like, okay, I'm happy to deal with this bad shit so that I can get to the good stuff. But the bad stuff is always the stuff that comes first, because what it does is I truly believe a lot of things that happen in life and a lot of things that happen in business especially are there to test you. The reason why you got ripped off on this one job is because you weren't smart enough. It had nothing to do with anything else other than you. You've got to realize that in life, and this is something that took me a long time to realize, is you've got to take accountability for everything, and it's the only thing that you control. So if you're not getting enough work, it's my fault. If you're not getting enough sales, it's my fault. If you're getting ripped off left, right, and center, it's my fault. It's easier to point the finger inwards because then it's something you control than point the finger outwards. If you say it's their fault, then the first thing that happens is you can't control it, and then you lose focus, you start pointing the finger, you lose power in the situation. And someone actually told me this very early on in my career, and I never quite understood what they meant. But doing the next business that I'm doing, Task Elites, I do a lot of sales calls, and you realize that the only way that you could truly take control of the situations that are dealt to you, because trust me, the amount of situations that are dealt to you are fucking unbelievable. You have to quite literally be like, right, that's my fault that he done this. How do I stop this? That's my fault that ads are not working. That's my fault the content's not working. So it's saying that everything's your fault, so that way you can take control and then figure out the actions. Now, I know that this is not going to be for everyone, and that's fair enough, but I want it to be for the select few. Now, if you guys do have a question, drop a comment below, and I'll answer it here. If not, drop a comment below or send me a DM, something like that, and I'll answer it tomorrow morning. Now, we do have our workshop on Thursday, Friday this week in Sydney, so I probably won't be able to get on. However, I do want you guys to drop some comments, some questions, and then that way we can answer them as quick as we possibly can and help out any young people trying to get into the industry. I know that this industry is hard to get into, and I know it's hard in business. But believe me, on the other side of hard is all the good stuff. You've just got to deal with those shit sandwiches as they come. So anyway, guys, I hope this helps some people out. I hope that it really showed some people maybe where they're going wrong. And yeah, let us know what you think. Drop a comment below. If you think of shit, let us know that too. I love hearing that part. So anyway, I'm Chase. We're going to see you on the next one.